Hello, Jane Miller here. Find your Encore, and today we're working on Module 4, how to love and celebrate your Encore, multiply your results, and put it all on autopilot. I think you're really going to enjoy this module. You've worked so hard and spent a lot of time and effort to find and launch and live your Encore. So rather than review all of those, I want to get into this because there's a lot. If you've printed out the workbook, you'll notice it's just about 20 pages, give or take, and there's a lot in here that's going to help you again start to really love this Encore that you've created. We're going to help you fall in love with your Encore again and multiply your results and put it all on autopilot so that you can enjoy ease and flow. You know, there are many, many courses and books and programs on productivity, time management, all that sort of thing. But I have narrowed it down to my top 3 methods that I think are so great. It's plenty. It involves a lot of concepts that are going to help you, and 3 is plenty at this point. When you get into further programs with me, we use these to really fine-tune things, but I'm going to show you how to multiply your results using the 80-20 principle. Second, I'm going to show you how to increase your focus and keep consistent action using the Ivy Lee method. And thirdly, I'm going to show you how to balance the work and life time. Oh, and a bonus. I'll have a bonus here on how to optimize your environment to really create that ease and flow we're looking for. So I really am excited about the very last sheets in the worksheet. And to me, it's the really critical important step to love your Encore and everything and everyone in it. And I show you how in Appendix E, or Encore, of course. So don't forget to keep checking in on with the Facebook group. Let us know your wins and anything you're working on. And also to reach out to me for clarity or assistance using my email. Always here to help you. So as we're going along here, I want to talk about first the 80-20 principle. So what's the biggest challenge that most business owners face that keep them from earning double, triple, or even 10x their current profits? Well, I conclude that here, and even if your Encore is not a business, this is what most people face. So the 80-20 rule is what I want you to apply to everything. 80-20 is one of the most helpful concepts of time and life management because we can't manage time, can we? It just tick, 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 ticks on over. So we can manage, though, our activity. Now, the 80-20 rule is also called the Pareto principle, and that's after its founder, the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who first wrote about it in 1895. So Pareto noticed, around his villages and societies that they seemed to naturally divide into what he called the vital few. And that would have been the top 20% in his mind of money and influence. And then the trivial many, the 80% of the bottom, or the rest. Which do we want to be in? The 20%. So later he discovered that it wasn't only just true for the people and their income and economies, but he found that virtually all economic activity is subject to this Pareto 80-20 principle. For example, the rule states that 20% of all your activity will account for 80% of your results, just like the picture shows here, the diagram. 20% of your customers will account for 80% of your sales. 20% of your products or services will account for 80% of your profits. And 20% of your tasks will account for 80% of the value of what you do, and so on and so on. So this means that if you have a list of 10 items to do, only 2 of them will turn out to be worth as much as all 8 other 8 items put together. So focusing on the 2 sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And the greatest payoff, here's an interesting discovery. So you have the 10 tasks. Each of these tasks may take the same amount of time to accomplish, but again, maybe only 1 or 2 of the tasks will contribute 5 or 10 times the value as the others. So often, even further, 1 item on your list of 10 things that you do can be worth as much as all the others put together. That is actually the task then that you should do first, right? So let's think about it. The most valuable tasks that you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex. But the payoff and the rewards for completing these tasks efficiently are tremendous. So for this reason, you must adamantly refuse to work on tasks in the bottom 80% while you still have tasks in the top. So before you begin your work, always ask yourself, is this task in the 20% of my activities in the top, or is it at the bottom 80%? So again, yeah, you may have to do some of the tasks in the 80% on the bottom, but again, refuse to do those until you have those in the top 20% complete. How are you going to do this? We'll keep talking about that. So a little bit more on time management. Really, it's life management, personal management. It's really taking control over the sequence of your events, over what you do next, what you do first, second, third. And you know, you're always free to choose the task that you will do next. Your ability to choose between what is important and unimportant will be the key determinant of the success in your life. Now, what about you say, oh, my boss tells me what to do? Maybe, but you still have mind control and thought over which things get priority and which things you can do to get the result that's required of you. Okay, so what we're going to do then is remember all the goals and activities and ideas and projects you've been working on? Yes. So into the appendix, in Appendix A, there's a sheet for this. So you're going to make a list of all the goals, activities, projects, and responsibilities that you have in your life today. So which of them are or could be in the top 20%, and which should be in the bottom? Because again, 20% of your tasks provide 80% of your results. So resolve today that you're going to spend more and more of your time working on the few very important things in the 20%, and this can really make a difference in your life and career. So let's hop down to that sheet. In Appendix A, here we go. So again, let me get this on the screen. Your job is to make a list of all the key goals, activities, projects, and responsibility, and put them in the triangle. The ones that are going to give you the top results, that's what goes in the top of the pyramid. The bottom 80%, those things are only going to give you 20% of your results. Got it? If you're having trouble, refer back to Module 1 in Appendices C and D, where you listed all of those goal-achieving activities as you're working towards your goal. That's what we're going to do with that. So the second concept that I really love is how to get every critical thing done without being pushed and pulled in every different direction. So in 1918, Charles Schwab was said to be one of the richest men in the world. Now, this Charles Schwab, M. Schwab, that I'm talking about is no relation to Charles R. Schwab, who is the founder of the Charles Schwab Corporation, the financial group. But Charles M. Schwab was the president of Bethlehem Steel Corporation, the largest shipbuilder and the second largest steel producer in the United States at that time. This famous inventor, one of my favorites, Thomas Edison, once referred to Schwab as the master hustler. He said that Schwab was constantly seeking an edge over all of his competition. So, you know, let me get the picture here. So I'm following along with you in the workbook, but here's Charles Schwab referenced. So this is Ivy Lee. Ivy Ledbetter Lee. So the story goes that Schwab, who was the master hustler, had Ivy Lee come in to the corporation one day because Schwab wanted to increase the efficiency of his team and to discover better ways to get things done. So he arranged a meeting with Ivy. Now, Ivy Lee was, you know, a very successful businessman in his own right. And he was widely known as one of the pioneers of public relations. And as the story goes, so Schwab brings Lee into his office and says, "Show me a way to get more things done." So Lee tells him, and you can certainly read along here, Lee told him he wanted 15 minutes with each of the executives on Schwab's staff. And Schwab wanted to know, well, how much is this going to cost me? Wow. And Lee said, nothing until it works. After 3 months, you can send me a check for whatever you feel it's worth to you. Okay, so what did he do during these 15 minutes? Brilliant. He told each of the executives, at the end of each workday, write down the 6 most important things that you need to accomplish tomorrow. Do not write down more than 6. Then prioritize the 6 items in order of their true importance. And when you get into the office tomorrow, concentrate only on the first task. Work until the first task is finished before moving on to the second task. Then, he told these executives, approach the rest of the list in the same fashion. At the end of the day, move any unfinished item to a new list of 6 tasks for the following day, and then repeat this process every day. Does this look familiar? Yes, if we go down into Appendix B, there we have it, the Ivy Lee method. Does this look familiar? Because it should. We introduced it in Module 2 when we began to create our plan. Are you still doing it? Well, let's talk about why you should be. So back to Schwab and Ivy Lee. So the strategy sounded really simple, but Schwab thought, well, they'll give it a try. And after 3 months, Schwab was so delighted in the results from his executives and all the things that were getting done and accomplished that he called Lee back into his office and presented him with a check for $25,000. Now, a check written for $25,000 back in 1918 is the equivalent today of a $400,000 check. Isn't that awesome? The Ivy Lee method then is really prioritizing your to-do list. And it might seem stupidly simple, but how can this, something so simple, be worth so much? Well, you know, when we try to make things so hard and we push and pull and we make them complex, it often turns into a weakness because it's really hard to get back on track when we fall off. So here's what I want to kind of coach you a little more on this. So it's simple enough to actually work. The primary critique of methods like this is that they're just too basic and they don't account for all the complexities and the nuances of life. But what happens if an emergency pops up? What about using the latest technology to its full advantage? Again, complexity is often a weakness because it makes it harder to get back on track. But if you have this list in front of you, right? You know, sure, emergencies, distractions, all of that, you know they're going to arise. So you ignore them as much as possible. You deal with them when you must, and then you get back to your prioritized to-do list as soon as possible. So use that simple rule, and then you'll conquer that complex behavior. This method also forces you to make really tough decisions, right? 6 things, is that all? You know, I don't know that there's anything magical about the number 6, important tasks per day, but it could just as easily be 5. However, I do think it's important to impose these limits upon yourself. I think that's magic. And really, when you have too many ideas floating around, or when you're overwhelmed by everything that you need to get done, to prune your ideas and trim away everything that really isn't absolutely necessary is a great strategy. This constraining can really be a better way. So, you know, Ivy Lee's method is similar to Warren Buffett's 25-5 rule, which requires you to focus on just 5 critical tasks and ignore everything else. He says give 25 minutes. Oh, and I just read Elon Musk uses this method as well. So 25 minutes to your top 5. So it's similar to that, but basically, you know, if you commit to nothing, if you have a list of 50 things for the day, and if you don't commit to anything, you'll be distracted by everything. The other thing it does is it removes the friction of getting started. I love this because a lot of times the biggest hurdle to finishing most tasks is getting started. Procrastination, right? You know, like getting off the couch can be really tough, but once you get up and you start walking or running or whatever you wanted to do, it's easier to finish your workout. Now on this, Lee's method forces you to decide, make decision on your first task the night before. It's simple, but it works. Because in the beginning, just getting started is just as important as succeeding at all. This also requires us to single task rather than multitask. Modern society loves multitasking. They put a lot of value on it, but it's really a myth that multitasking is doing better, that it's synonymous with doing better. The exact opposite has been found to be true. Having fewer priorities leads to better work. And really, studies have shown, and you know, world-class experts have shown, whether it's in any field, athletics, artists, scientists, teachers, CEOs, they discover that one characteristic runs through all of them: focus. And the reason is simple. You can't be great at one task if you're constantly dividing your time 10 different ways. So mastery of something requires focus and consistency. The bottom line is do the most important first thing each day. It's really the only productivity hack or trick that you need. And you can see in Appendix B, I've laid it out here for you. Isn't this great? And I hope you've been using it all the way through since Module 2. Because I really, really think that you'll love it. It also weighs in with what we were doing with the Pareto principle, because there's your top 20% of activities. So one of those in there is the first thing that you should be working on, and it's going to produce most of your results. All right, so let's go on to the crazy easy hack that ensures you will finally work less and celebrate more awesomely and more often. I want to go up to this cartoon here, and hopefully in the workbook you've been able to read it. So Parkinsons Law, and this guy says, hey, So how's that new project, that new service update coming along? And Mustashi says, nah, I didn't start it yet. No rush. No rush, yes. You absolutely must get this done by next month. You must. You only have 3 weeks to complete it. And he says, Mustashi, I'm saying, said, don't worry, man. It's the factor that everything somehow always gets done on the last day before it's due. So Parkinson's Law is work expands into the timeline that you allow it to. If you can limit the time you spend on work or a certain element of it, you can contain it within that space. So how to work less in one step? Just work less. Isn't that brilliant? Brilliant? The reality is here is when you allow only a certain time for a task, you will likely get it done. When the time's up, the time is up. There's also a risk of adding in stress and worry, and that doesn't help one bit. That actually tends to expand it. So practice the skill of assigning time to a task, and that can become your new mode. So some of, again, the focus on this. Let's look at the image here of the time expanding. So work expands to fill the time available for its completion. A proverb coined by 20th century British scholar C. Northcote Parkinson, and that's why it's known as Parkinson's Law. It usually points out, it always points out that people usually take all the time allotted and frequently more to accomplish any task. So yeah, Parkinson's Law is that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. So if you give yourself a week to complete something and it's really only a 2-hour task, then psychologically speaking, the task will increase in complexity to fill the 2 weeks that you've given it, right? And the stress and the tension about having it out in your mind and it has to get done just adds worth. But by assigning the right amount of time to the task, you gain back more time, and the task then reduces itself in complexity and it becomes more simplistic as well. But I really love a hack that you can use to celebrate more. Let your lifetime, your personal life, all the celebration that you want to do, let that push back onto the work timeline. So go ahead and assign that afternoon bike ride or that special date night. Have it push back on your work tasks. I just love that so much. So we want to look again at the appendices very quickly. So A, we have the 80-20 principle. B, we have the Ivy League, important things to accomplish tomorrow. Now C is a special time block. Oh, and I mentioned that Tesla CEO Elon Musk uses this technique called time boxing. And this can help you with managing the time and using Parkinson's as well to assign a task a certain amount of time so that your work life doesn't bleed into your personal life. So I've had the table here with a couple columns. On the left-hand side is just the time broken out into half-hour slots, going down through the day, and then a column for the task, and then some notes on the side. And the way we use this is, and again, it's called time blocking. And you can just use a legal pad or any kind of ruled paper and just put columns down the paper and put your own times down the side. So again, on the left column, put the time slots that you want to work with. And both Warren Buffett and Elon Musk use a 30-minute time slot. So Elon tries to just do 25 minutes and always a 5-minute break. I think it's pretty cool. So what this suggested is, again, with Parkinson's, have time your task. So put in the time slot, block it out so that you know what's going on. And let's combine our Ivy Lee method of having the 6 most important things. So all throughout the day, you're working on, even if it's the #1 priority, block in time to work on your most important things. And you know, at 8 o'clock, you might start working on your #1 and you get finished with it. And then what do? Move to #2. But if you are working at #1 and you get uninterrupted, you just go back to #1. And this might happen throughout the day. Maybe down here at 3 o'clock, you're still working on priority #1 to get it finished. But guess what? That's the most important thing that you wanted to get done today will get completed. And that's the best we can do, right? To get the most important thing done and then move on from there. Hey, if you only get one most important thing done a day, at the end of the month, you'll have 30 things done that you otherwise would not have completed if you had just been stalling and not getting started. So I do have some further directions here to help you fill out this form, but I thought it would be helpful for you to start doing time blocking using, again, the 80-20 Pareto principle, Ivy Lee's method of the 6 most important thing, and Parkinson's law that assign time to the task and don't let it bleed into your life, your personal life. I want to talk somewhat about optimizing your environment. And I know in this sheet, it's on page 7 and 8 and 9, different ways that you can optimize your environment. And I'm not going to cover it all in the walkthrough on the video here, because I think it's something that's really going to be personal for you. However, when you optimize your environment, really it may be something hidden that's going to determine some of your success or failure. And I love that story of the frog, you know, boil that frog, eat that frog. So if you put a frog in hot water, it's going to jump right out because it doesn't like it. But if you put the frog in room temperature water and then heat it to slowly boil, the frog will stay there and die. It won't jump out because it was a subtle shift in the environment that he didn't even notice was dooming him to death. It's not as detectable a dramatic shift as the hot boiling water, right? So what I want to ask you is, where are you being boiled and cooked by your environment? So, you know, instead of, again, trying to push and pull your way through something and bull your willpower to use habits and better habits, just start by optimizing your environment. And I want you to look at 3 areas of your life. So first, your physical environment. And this is your physical body, your physical surroundings, you know, technology, your physical environment. And I want you to do things like look around and see what might be those hidden deterrents. Is your desk cluttered? When you think it's time to go for a workout, do you have to dig and try to find your sneakers and your workout clothes? Or are they all laid out, ready to go? Having trouble getting up in the morning? You know, put your alarm way across from the bed so that you can't just hit the snooze button. Put it in another room so you have to actually get up out of bed. If you're trying to release weight, remove bad foods out of the house or put it in a different cupboard. Put healthy foods front and center in the refrigerator. So those are just some quick examples of ways to optimize your physical environment. You know, again, technology, we have so much technology around us all of the time. Can you hide your TV remote? Can you hide the video console so you're not tempted to play the PlayStation all morning before getting on to what you really wanted to do? Can you put your phone in another, not in your bedroom? So that's in another room, so you're not constantly checking that. If you want to read more, make books available. Have them sitting on your nightstand and by your favorite chair and in the kitchen, right? Good. So we're looking at your workspace, your cubicle, your office, your kitchen, technology, and your physical body. Make things easy for you to do what you want to do. Then we're going to talk about in the workbook a lot with our mental environment. And really our mental environment kind of goes along with what we were beginning to talk about in module 3 with the whole mindset and recalling that that picture, bring the picture of the mind, the circle with the 2 halves. The top portion of the circle was our conscious thinking mind, where we can choose our thoughts or accept or ignore thoughts that come to us. And then everything we want to accept and the good things we push into our subconscious mind, where everything gets accepted. So optimizing your mental environment, we talked last module about coming up with different affirmations to remind ourselves of useful messages that will help us with our self-image and our goal seeking. And surround yourself with those goal reminders, you know, our goal card, having that in your purse or pocket, one in the bathroom mirror, one in the car cup holder, etc. And here's a good way for helping mental stress with technology. Download some apps that block things away from you. I love the one, so when you're driving in the car, it blocks text from coming in and voicemails and such, and actually sends the person who sent it a note saying, hey, I'm driving right now. I love that app. It's great for mental focus on the road because that's so important as far as safety, right? Distracting things, delete them off of your cell phone. If you really don't need the kitty videos, distract it and block that. So mental, again, very important to optimize that, and we've given you many ways to do that. So again, read more on the workbook about that. Now, how about optimizing the people, optimizing your people environment? So as we know, study after study has shown that we tend to copy our behaviors from our peer group. Who are you hanging out with? So that means it's essential to surround ourselves with supportive and inspiring people, our coaches, and spend less time with destructive people, unmotivated people. This way you create your environment, your social environment that supports your productivity and your health and your long-term goals. You know, I love Jim Rohn. He's gone now, but he was a success guru, and I was able to see him live one time in Atlanta. He said, you are the average of the 5 people you associate with most. So do not underestimate the effects of your pessimistic, unambitious, or disorganized friends. If someone isn't making you stronger, they're making you weaker. So, you know, what about, you know, your bosses and your family members that you can't really get away with? Small doses, small doses. Back when I was in the corporate world and the boss would every other week have a one-to-one session with each of the employees. Oh, and I used to think, how do I do this in small doses? So I just kept the conversation going for what I wanted to talk about. There's a hack for you. Don't forget about those people on your team to support you. whether it's all of us here at Find Your Encore and the Facebook group, Good Coach, whether it's people you hang out with in a social setting, make sure they're inspiring people who have good habits and exciting goals. And you really, because you really absorb the thoughts and patterns and beliefs and ideas just by hanging out with people. So make sure the environment of people are the ones that are going to be most supportive to you. Now I want to talk about a wonderful bonus, and I have this oh yeah, Appendix E. Let's go there now. And on the way, scrolling through our appendices here, Appendix D has the spot where you can list ways that you'll optimize your physical, remember that's your body, surroundings, technology, your mental, and your people environment. So list some things there. Small doses of Uncle Marty. There we go. One of the greatest things that I love is this idea of gratitude. I consider this step the most important of all the things we're doing here in Module 4. And we've done a lot. We've done a lot as far as figuring out some more practical and writing down. And we're doing the Ivy Lee method and the Pareto principle and the work to become efficient and productive. But I love this step so that we can learn to love our Encore life and everyone in it and everything in it. And I'll even give you a little advice on how to, deal maybe with the people that are in our lives that we'd like small doses of. So here we go. There are times when, we're all disturbed by something and, somebody says something or, something happens and it's in our mind, it plays on our mind and we start to feel bad about environment or ourselves. But when this happens, it's time to switch it up. It's time to adjust our mental environment. How to do it? I can sum the whole thing up in one word, which is gratitude. It's a secret to a better life. So here's how to do it. Every day, twice a day is even better. Take your pen and paper and write 10 things that you're grateful for, okay? I want you to also send love to 2 people who are annoying you. And thirdly, ask God, your universe, spirit, your higher power, or whomever, for guidance for the day. And capture these powerful thoughts. You will be so amazed when you're living in gratitude. So when you first start out, you might find it a little difficult to find 10 things, but just look around and just start. I'm so grateful for the electricity staying on while I was recording this event and the beautiful surroundings that I'm sitting in. You saw me maybe look over. I have a view out across our creek, which is just lovely, and wanting to focus on you. So I'm so grateful for some people in my life and for all of you and my clients and the coaching that I get to do. So again, in the morning when you get up, and then again before retiring in the evening, capture these 10 things you're grateful for. Send love to those who are annoying you or otherwise need some love from you. And also ask for guidance and listen, really listen to it. Now I want to show you a little something else that I've done. And I'm just going to change the screen here for one moment so I can pull this up for you. Let's see, I'm going to share. Let's find it here. I put together the Find Your Encore notebook. Okay, and here it is. And let me get that shared for you. Here we go. Share the screen. So in the notebook, I'm pretty excited about this because I just did this yesterday and I'm really liking how this turned out. I was trying to put it in the full page view, but I think you will, I think you'll get the scoop here. Share the screen, view. Oh, full screen mode. There we go. Here it is. So this is for the best of your Encore life. I put things into single sheets of the most important paperwork that I want you to take with you on your journey. So here's the 6 things to complete, Ivy Lee method. And you complete a new sheet each evening because really 6 things that were the most important yesterday might not be the most important today. And I also find that when you work on that one important thing, it's amazing those other things get accomplished along the way. So we have our 6 things to complete tomorrow. Here's our time blocking so that we can have focus, keep on that #1 idea, and also make sure that remember, work expands to fill the time you allot it. So we want to allot time to certain tasks and the notes. And then here is the gratitude page for you that you can make prints of, and also just write it down yourself on your legal pad if that's how you're working, or the journal. Those of you who've signed up for the accelerated Find Your Encore, I've sent you a hard copy of all of this, but everyone in the course, please go ahead and print these out. And then lastly, I've done, this is what I'm pretty excited about. I just did this yesterday. It's a combined planning sheet. I think it worked out pretty well. So you're writing the day of the week on here and what the date is. And remember, the 6 most important things, there's a column for that, and you'll do that the night before. Okay, so that's what you'll fill out on this sheet. Then when you get up in the morning, you'll work on your gratitude, the 10 things you're grateful for, the people that you want to send love to, and also when you ask for guidance for the day, what was revealed to you, and jot it down. And then as we're moving further to the left is the area for your time blocking. So I think this is pretty cool, and I started using it, and it's all just in one form, so 1 sheet per day. So what I've done is I've just kept copying these down through. So there's a whole litany of these, and the only thing that you can see changing is the page number at the bottom. So also while you're doing this, you'll always have my email address handy so that you can send a quick email. My phone number is there too. So this is a gift to you that I hope that you will enjoy. I have it on the Module 4 webpage down at the bottom if you haven't noticed it or picked it up. So again, this is so exciting. I'm so happy to have gone on this journey with you in finding your Encore. And my hope and my wish for you is that you keep going back through all the modules so that you can revisit and refine, and remember that repetition is key to getting all of this done. Again, we're here at Find Your Encore, and putting the modules aside, you know, we started off, you began to work with me because you found yourself maybe struggling with unfulfilled purpose, with time constraints, maybe some financial concerns, not using your talents and strengths, and maybe this was in, you know, your career, or you're retiring and looking for your next gig, or you're just stuck in whatever spot you're in. So the Find Your Encore was designed to help you find clarity in your purpose, to learn how you can conquer time and have time work for you, not the other way around, to give you some mental strategy and financial confidence, to assess your talents and your strengths and find ways to use them more fully. And what I promised you was a personalized plan to put it all together so that you can find, live, launch, and love your Encore. So again, so happy to be working with you. Please go back and repeat. And as you're going forward here, if you'd like to join in on our group coaching of the Find Your Encore, there's a way to do that. Just look back at the website. And then also, as you get along and you want to join our the VIP acceleration, that's always there for you too, and you can start anytime. Again, Jane Miller here. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am so glad that you have found, lived, launched, and are loving your Encore. This is Jane Miller. Thanks so much.